Hi guys and welcome back here at 1000 PS. Today it's all about the Kawasaki Ninja 500 in the SE version. Has the evolution of the bike been successful? What does she have in store for you? We're gonna find out, so you better stay tuned.
The Kawasaki Ninja 500. Thank you for the mic. Based on my first impressions on this bike, it's honestly brilliant. The bike has nothing too much and nothing too little. By nothing too much, I specifically mean the traction control, which is missing on this model. But I firmly believe that on a bike like this, you simply don't need traction control. It would just add unnecessary cost, which really isn't needed. The brakes work great, the clutch is spot on, the gearbox functions perfectly, and the display is super easy to read. Sure, it's not the most modern or largest high-end TFT, but it does exactly what it should. We've got the SE version here in front of us with keyless ride, so the key stays in my pocket. The color is also different because of the SE spec. And what's typically the case with Japanese bikes, though not always logical, is that the stock exhaust sound usually isn't the most exciting. That's the case here too. It's not exactly music to your ears riding this bike. But overall, I think it's a really well-executed motorcycle. And on the tight corners of the supermoto track, which reminds me a lot of the passes back home near Mitten, I had a proper good time on it. So, based on my first impressions, for me this is a brilliant A2 bike.
Thank you so much. Hello, welcome back, it's me again, and I'm giving you my first impression. I'm giving you my first impression of the Kawasaki 500 Ninja SE. And I have to say, right off the bat, this is my top favorite bike that I've tested today. It's so comfortable yet sporty. It's the perfect mix of everything that you want to have. I feel like I have to say the bike is not too digitally advanced. There's nothing too special about the technology, but you get everything that you need. And I feel like when it comes down to the most important points like chassis, motor, the throttle, how does it react to your own driving skills, the position, the seating position, and so much more. And in every aspect, I kind of fell in love, I have to be honest. And I feel like you might think it's very beginner friendly, and I have to say yes to that, but still it feels like a very sporty bike. You don't feel like it doesn't have enough power, and it's not too aggressive, but it still delivers. And yeah, I'm in love.
The Kawasaki Ninja 500 isn't exactly what you typically expect from Kawasaki in terms of a ruthless sports bike. It also has a clear daily usability side. Let's start with the engine. Like the Honda 500, it's a pure two-cylinder engine, though with a slightly smaller displacement of 450cc, but it works really well. It's got a bit more bite to it, a bit more character, maybe slightly more vibrations, but it pulls cleanly from the low end and revs out nicely all the way up top, with even a bit more power at the top end. So purely in terms of the engine, it's actually one of the strongest power plants in the A2 class. And when you combine that with just 171 kilos, the power to weight ratio is genuinely impressive. Overall, I have to say the Kawasaki gets a lot right, much more right than wrong. You've got this two-cylinder engine that you may know from other models, slightly tweaked here, but it delivers really solid power for the road. You don't always have to be in the perfect gear. It's a forgiving engine that lets you stay relaxed. The gearing is well chosen, the gear spacing makes sense, and that means you're generally well set up for any riding scenario with flexibility and still the option to rev it out. And that works well, I have to say. The chassis is another success. Kawasaki did a good job here. Despite the fact that it has a conventional right side up fork, one of the few remaining bikes not using an upside down setup, they've still managed to dial in a very competent suspension setup. The bike holds its line incredibly well through curves and maintains its radius beautifully, no matter if you're rolling off the throttle or accelerating. The bike holds that line without getting unsettled, and that speaks volumes. Stability and feedback on this Kawasaki are both really well executed. That, paired with the more upright seating position, which still works great for sporty riding, creates a strong overall package. The only real downside is the knee angle. The distance between footpeg and seat is a bit tight, so you do lose some comfort, especially on longer rides or when you're clocking up higher mileage. But everything else works spot on. The clutch is feather light, even the single front disc brake performs really well. The ABS tuning is well done too, which is reassuring, especially in borderline conditions. When it comes to electronics, it's definitely more basic than many of its competitors. There's no traction control here. But to be fair, the engine is manageable enough that you don't really need it. Throttle transitions are smooth, the response is easy to modulate, and in partial throttle ranges, it's easy to ride. The mapping of the injection is also well done. Clean, lag-free acceleration, even if you whack the throttle open. So from that standpoint, it's a bike operating at a pretty high level, especially if you're looking for solid rideability paired with a comfortable seating position. To sum it up, the Kawasaki really delivers here across the board. It's got a strong, capable engine with great performance across the entire rev range. Yes, it's a bit raw in its feel, but still easy to handle. There's no traction control, but you don't really need it with how controllable the engine is. The ABS works well, and the standout feature for me is the precision in how this bike handles. It's seriously impressive, extremely neutral, very precise, and gives loads of feedback and confidence if you want to ride more spiritedly. The brakes are solid, and when you compare this to its rivals, it stands out. Especially when you look at price, it's actually one of the cheapest in the segment. The basic version, not even the SE, starts at just 7,000 euros, and that puts it a few hundred euros under most of the competition, which makes it a seriously attractive option.
That's all we've got today for you guys about the Kawasaki Ninja 500 SE. Have you ridden it yourself? Would you like to, or maybe not, and why? Leave it down in the comment section, like, subscribe, and we're going to see each other very soon.